Steven Seagal. The name once meant power, mystery, and unstoppable strength. But behind the action star who could take down 10 men with a single move was a man surrounded by lies, chaos, and broken families. And now, in 2025, everything has changed. His wife has vanished from public life, his empire in Russia is collapsing, and the man who built his life pretending to be unbreakable is finally facing something he can't fight: time, truth, and himself. Steven Frederick Seagal was born on April 10, 1952, in Lansing, Michigan. He wasn't the strong hero people later saw on screen. He was a sickly little boy, suffering from asthma, barely able to breathe. His mother, Patricia, remembered him as a frail child, one who always seemed weaker than the world around him. But that all changed when his family moved to Fullerton, California. The warm weather cleared his lungs, but it also lit a fire inside him, a deep desire to never feel weak again. That feeling would drive his entire life. By the time he was 5, he was already fascinated by martial arts. He wasn't the prodigy he later claimed to be, but he was determined to create that image, the image of someone tough, mysterious, and powerful. In his teens, he worked as a dishwasher, lying about his age just to get the job. There, he met a cook who practiced karate. It wasn't a glamorous movie moment, it was a sweaty, greasy kitchen, but it changed his life. He started training, obsessed with the idea of strength. He later claimed to have trained with martial arts legends, but most of those stories don't add up. Even in high school, classmates saw him as awkward and full of tall tales. His nickname was Steven Seagal, mocking his tendency to exaggerate. He said he earned his first black belt at 15. In truth, it happened years later, when he was 22. He wanted to be seen as larger than life, someone born for greatness, and that pattern would follow him everywhere. By 1974, Steven had met Miyako Fujitani, a skilled martial artist and the daughter of a respected Aikido master in Japan. She was calm, disciplined, and believed in balance. He followed her to Osaka, where they married and began teaching at her father's dojo. But even in Japan, Seagal's story wasn't what he told the world later. He didn't travel there on a spiritual journey. He went because he was avoiding the Vietnam draft. When Miyako's father retired, Seagal took over the dojo, not through mastery, but through marriage. There were rumors about his encounters with the Yakuza, Japan's mafia, and stories about him standing up to gangsters. His wife denied it all, saying he only ever chased away drunk men from the dojo. But Seagal loved those legends. They made him sound unstoppable. In the early 1980s, he left Japan, not with honor, but quietly. No divorce, no goodbye. He simply left his wife and 2 children behind and went back to America. 2 years later, he married another woman, actress Adrienne LaRussa. The problem? He was still married to Miyako. It was bigamy, and the first real crack in his carefully built image. By the mid-80s, Seagal had reinvented himself in Hollywood. He opened a dojo in West Hollywood and began teaching celebrities. His charm, his mysterious presence, and his stories caught attention. Stars like James Coburn and Sean Connery trained with him, though Seagal's brutal approach left some of them injured. One story claims he broke Connery's wrist during a sparring session. Instead of apologizing, he bragged about it. Then came the night that changed everything. Seagal was working as a bodyguard for Hollywood agent Michael Ovitz. When intruders broke into Ovitz's home, Seagal supposedly fought them off with his bare hands. Whether it was real or not didn't matter, Ovitz was impressed. He arranged a screen test, and Warner Brothers gave Seagal a contract. Just like that, the dishwasher from California became a movie star. His first film, Above the Law, came out in 1987. It was a hit, making nearly $19 million. He wasn't just acting, he was shaping every part of the movie. He wanted real fights, real pain. The stunts were dangerous. He injured multiple stuntmen, insisting that fake fighting was dishonest. His arrogance became legendary, and his temper even worse. But money spoke louder than complaints. As long as his movies made millions, studios looked the other way. His follow-up films, Hard to Kill, Marked for Death, Out for Justice, made him one of Hollywood's top action stars. But with success came chaos. On set, Seagal was brutal. He humiliated actors, hurt stuntmen, and refused to follow direction. He saw himself as untouchable. During Marked for Death in Jamaica, he insulted local extras, demanded they cut their dreadlocks, and nearly caused a strike. The movie made $58 million, but he was banned from ever filming in Jamaica again. By the early 90s, he was earning over $1 million per film. He demanded special chefs, expensive incense from Japan, custom uniforms, and long meditation breaks that delayed filming. Studios gave in, because his movies still made money. But soon, his reputation became toxic. When he made Under Siege in 1992, it became his biggest hit, over $150 million worldwide. But even that success came with blood. He injured another stuntman with a real knife on set. For Seagal, realism mattered more than safety. Then came On Deadly Ground. He fired the director 2 days into filming, rewrote the script daily, and turned a simple action movie into a long environmental lecture. The budget exploded to over $50 million. Critics hated it. He called it his masterpiece. His ego grew while his popularity fell. On executive decision, he was supposed to star alongside Kurt Russell, but his role was cut short after constant fights. He sued the studio for $5 million. He lost. And then came the scandals. In the early 90s, 4 women walked off a Warner Brothers set, accusing Seagal of harassment and disgusting behavior. The studio quietly paid them to stay silent. But the rumors spread. Actress Jenny McCarthy later said that during an audition, Seagal demanded she take off her clothes because the role had nudity. She ran out of the room and told everyone. Other women came forward too, describing threats, violence, and fear. One of them, Cheryl Schumann, said he pulled a gun during an argument and threatened to have her ex-husband beaten up. She even claimed she saw bruises on his wife, Kelly LeBrock. Months later, Schumann was attacked in her garage by a stranger who warned her to keep quiet. In 1991, Seagal hosted Saturday Night Live, and it became one of the worst episodes in the show's history. He insulted writers, refused jokes, and demanded fight scenes. The cast hated him. Lorne Michaels banned him from ever coming back. By the mid-90s, his movie career was collapsing. Behind the scenes, his marriage to Kelly LeBrock was falling apart too. He cheated on her repeatedly, even with their nanny. There were fights, police calls, and eventually, a restraining order. She left him in 1994, saying she lived in fear. Their 3 children were caught in the middle. Over the years, his children spoke out. His daughter, Urissa, said he missed every important moment in her life. Another daughter from an affair barely knew him at all. Most of them cut contact completely. By the 2000s, Steven Seagal's career had hit rock bottom. His movies went straight to DVD. He was sued by producers for walking off set, delaying shoots, and rewriting scenes without permission. He even claimed he skipped work once for a national security meeting, but was later seen shopping for a dog. He was never invited to join the Expendables alongside other 80s action stars. Producers called him impossible to work with. Then came his final act, Russia. Around 2014, Seagal began praising Vladimir Putin, calling him the greatest leader in the world. They bonded over martial arts and nationalism. In 2016, Putin granted him Russian citizenship. Seagal started businesses in Moscow and was even named a special envoy between Russia and the US. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, Seagal sided with the Kremlin. He appeared in propaganda videos blaming Ukraine for attacks, calling the war a necessary mission. It destroyed what little reputation he had left in the West. By 2024, he attended Putin's 5th inauguration and pledged loyalty to Russia, calling Putin "my president." His movies stopped. His wife, a Mongolian dancer named Erdenechua, disappeared from public life. Friends said she was raising their son alone while Seagal sold off his businesses and isolated himself in Moscow. Then came the health rumors. Reports of serious illness, even brain tumors. Seagal denied them, blaming Western media and the CIA. But his rare appearances told another story. The man who once symbolized power looked tired, overweight, and alone. Today, his net worth sits around $14 million, a fraction of what he once had. His old mansions are quiet. His music albums sell only a few copies. His show Lawman was canceled after his assistant accused him of harassment and abuse. Decades of scandals, lawsuits, and arrogance left him with nothing but silence. Once, he stood beside legends like Van Damme and Schwarzenegger. Now, he stands beside a president accused of war crimes. He's 73, living in Moscow, far from the country that once made him a star. His children have turned away. Hollywood has erased his name. The tough guy who claimed to fear nothing now has no one left to call. From a sickly boy in Michigan to a martial arts master, from Hollywood royalty to international exile, Steven Seagal's life is the story of a man who spent decades pretending to be unbreakable. But no matter how many fights he won, or how many movies he made, the truth was always stronger. And in the end, that truth caught up to him.